Good morning to everyone. In today's class, we are going to study about the patterns in C language. So we know different things in C language. So we know the data types, we know the pointers, structures, loops, functions. So here with simple programming, I just want to print a patterns. So in today's class we are going to stick for the right angle triangle patterns. So kindly observe. I'm going for online compiler. So if you want to know little bit details about your basics of C language, you kindly go through your Balguru Swami textbook. It will be very fine. So this is the program for C, and whatever the hash include stdio.h, it includes the header files of your standard input and output commands, and main is the program where it can be the series of instructions you are going to be write on under main function. Here you are going to write your code. So for my code, I'm just deleted the things. First of all, I'm going for to print stars. Okay. So the patterns I'm choosing. Okay. My wishes, I want to print the stars. Okay. This is my output. This is the output I'm wishing. I'm not saying that this is my output. This is the output I'm wishing, but we need to check how the code should be written. How the code should be written to get the output like this. To get the output like this. So I'm just keeping my expected output here as well as my code. Okay. First of all, we need to think how to start our code. How to start our code, because when you observe here, uh, on first line I have one asterisk. In second line, that means the number of rows are incremented. At the same time, the number of stars, the number of asterisks also incremented by one. Similar fashion, in the third line also, it will be incremented by one, and the number of asterisks are incremented by one. That means the way how you are increasing the rows, your asterisk should be increases, and the increased asterisk should be printed in my next line, in the next line. So you need to know what will be your number of rows, because here I'm having the limit of 4. Here I'm having the limit of 4. So before going into that as my output, first of all, I need to first I print a simple asterisk on the screen. So to print your output, to print your anything, to print your information on the output window, you need to use the printf statement. So what the happening inside the printf statement? All those things are available within the printf function. Within the printf function, if you use any command with parenthesis, any function with parenthesis, we call it as a function. So printf function inbuilt function. So we need not to bother what happens and in detail of it. So we simply use the asterisk. Okay, we simply use the printf function, and I'm just provided what I need to be printed. Okay, what need to be printed in between the double quotations here. So my feeling is it just print a asterisk symbol. It just print a asterisk symbol. Okay, so I can get an asterisk symbol on my screen. on my screen. Now I'm just increasing this complexity. So instead of printing one asterisk, I'm interested to print two asterisks. I need to interest to print two asterisks. So I just go for loopings here. I'm just going for loopings because one after two after three. Likewise, it should be increase. So I just go for the for loop. Okay, for loop starting with the variable. I'm just assuming it will be incremented by 1 or 2. I just incrementing the numerical. So I just declare a variable. So I just declaring a variable first int I. Just here I'm declare the variable I, which is an integer data type, but I'm not initializing it. Here in the for loop, I'm initializing this I equals to 1. Okay. So starting I equals to 1 with the condition up to this I should be incremented because it can't be an infinite loop. So it should be have some limit. It should have some limit. I'm feeling that it should be incremented up to 5. Sorry, up to 5. Okay. It should be have the limit of 5. For every stage, how much it should be incremented? Either 1 or 2 or 3. I am mentioning it as an incremented by 1. Incremented by 1. So this is my for loop. So in between this for loop, I'm returning this asterisk symbol. Okay. So this should be incremented. This asterisk should be incremented. This is my assumption. So now my belief is it should be 5 asterisks because I'm initializing with 1. Here I'm initializing with 1, giving the condition of 5 equal to 5, and it should be incremented by 1. So I'm assuming that there will be 5 asterisks. We will see whether it is in spaces are there or it will be continuous things. We will check. So I just run the code. So I got my output that simple 5 asterisks are presented. A simple 5 asterisks are presented. Fine, very good. But when I looking these 5 asterisks, they are very congested. It is very congested. I just felt between one asterisk, one star to another star, there should be some space. So while printing the statement itself, I'm providing a space. While printing the statement itself, I'm just providing the space. Now, it will be fine. It will be fine. While that means, kindly remember, as a programmer, whatever the code you are written, it is not visible to anyone. Only the output, what it is showing on your output window, it is visible. So how much best you can show your output to your client or the user, it is most important. The writing the code, how you are writing, whether you're using the 10 lines or 20 lines, it is not bother for the person. They just want your output. That means when you go for the restaurant, the person arranging all the dish on your plate is more important than the taste, because the first impression is by eyes. When it feels good, it will be fine. Okay. So now these 5 asterisks are in same line. Why not if I go for the next line? What's wrong if it is? That means instead of getting in the same line, if these asterisks are presented line by line, for next line, I'm changing my code like present the next line. So after first iteration, that means we are assuming first, when I equals to 1, first asterisk is presented. Once this condition is complete, I mean, once this statement is completed, whether it goes for checking, still I is less than 5. So the statement is true. Again, it goes for the condition and verifies. So now we say that instead of printing the asterisk beside your first iteration, go for the next line. So that is will slash n. We will check how you can get your output. Fine. So you can get your outputs one by one. Now, when you observe my output, it's first line I have 1. In the second line I have 2. Right now I'm getting only 1. Right now I'm getting only 1. I'm getting only 1. Third line it is getting 3, but still here it is only 1. That means there should be another variable. There should be another variable internal to this number of rows. Internal to this number of rows, saying that whether your row number is incremented, your asterisk should be also incremented. Asterisk should also be incremented. So to get this output, I'm initializing one more variable. I'm initializing one more variable, j. I'm initializing one more variable and writing one more for loop. Writing one more for loop, mentioning that. So when you observe here, kindly remember for I equals to 1, that means in the first line I equals to 1, j should also be 1. Kindly remember I represents the number of rows, j represents number of asterisks. When you understand that concept, it will be easy for you to write in the code. So here I should be equal, your j should be equals to your I variable. J should be equals to your I variable. J should be equals to your I variable. How much, up to what iteration it should be continuous? Up to this. 1 second. I should be equals to 1 means that will be the condition. So starting with 1, because it should be incremented. So condition. Up to this number of values will be increased based upon your number of rows. When I equals to 1, j should also be 1. When I equals to 2, j should be also represented 2 values. J also should be represented 2 values. If I equals to 3, j should also be present 3 times. J should be run for 3 times. Done. So this is the internal loop. This is the internal loop. In this loop, your printing of the line should be happens. Printing of the line should be happens with spaces. That means the first line, it should be present. The second line, first asterisk should be present, and between first asterisk and second asterisk, there should be space. After completion of your first iteration, the second iteration should be started in your second line. That means kindly observe. Initializing this for I equals to 1. When I equals to 1, we are checking whether our condition is satisfying. I equals to 1 is less than 5. 1 is less than 5. Fine. We go for the next line. For this, j equals to 1. J equals to 1. Fine. J equals to 1. And we are checking this j value. J value, that means 1 is less than or equal to 1. Because I is initialized with 1. So fine, where it's correct. So we go for the printing. Once this is completed, after this loop, it is incremented. That means j becomes 2. J becomes 2. at that condition, 2 is less than 1. 2 is less than 1, which is false. So it comes out of the loop. That means it goes for the next line. It goes for the next line. So when it goes for the next line, now the I will be incremented by 1. I will be incremented by 1. So that means I becomes 2. I becomes 2. 2 less than 5. 2 less than 5. It is true. At that condition, j equals to 1. 1 is less than 2. Now 2 I will be replaced with 2. So 1 is less than 2. So it is true. It is true. So your first asterisk is printed. Next one, j becomes 2. J becomes 2. J becomes 2. And again it goes for checking. 2 less than or equal to. Here we are having equal to. So it is true. So again it is printed. Again j becomes 3. It will be. So likewise up to the every iteration it will goes for checking. Whenever the condition is false, it goes for out of your loop. So I just run the code. So I got my output. So here I'm considering 4 asterisk. Okay. So this is my output. Instead of this, if I'm directly initializing this previously, because in last couple of seconds back, I just initializing j equals to I. If I place j equals to I, what will be happen? What will be happen? Nothing will be happen instead of getting a simple line, because when I equals to 1, j equals to also becomes 1. The condition is true. We get only 1 star. Next, j becomes 2, and I becomes as 1. I becomes, I as 1. So the condition is false. So it goes for next line. Now I becomes 2. It will be true. And the second, j also becomes 2. The condition is true. It just printed only one time. It just only printed one time. Instead of that, again I'm modifying my codes. So previously I written this code for by using single for loop. This code also can be written with 2 for loops. Okay. Now instead of using the condition of second loop, j less than or equal to I, I'm just written the 4. I'm just expecting the second line, that means the number of asterisks should also be equals to the 4. So I just assuming it gets a square. Yes, it's getting square. So kindly for each statement, go for your conditions. Hope you can able to understand. Now we just simply modifying the code. That means instead of going for the increment order, that means in my output, going for my increment order. Sorry. I'm wishing this should be my output. Okay. So I'm not modifying anything else. So I'm going for my previous code. Okay. So I'm just, once again, I'm printing my previous code, this one. So I'm just modifying only one thing. That means instead of initializing and instead of getting the checking, okay, here, I just want to print 4 asterisks at a time. In the first line itself, I need to have the 4 asterisks. So I give that it should be 4. And this should be continuous. That means this should be continuous up to when it becomes 1. So the condition should be 1. Condition should be 1. But the number of rows here, I'm talking with number of rows. And next one, it should be started from 1, 2, 3, 4. The condition, the internal loop should be verified, matches with your internal loop should be matches with your outer loop. So I'm not modifying this, I'm just, but not less than, it should be greater than. It should be greater than. Sorry. Only one mistake I did. I'm not wishing to increment the value. I'm wishes to decrement the values. Decrement the value. Okay, sorry. Okay. So if I'm write these two things in a single program, if I want to write these two things in my single program, that means so here I'm wishing that initially I should be have started with 1, later it should be increased to 3, and if it go for 4, and again it should be decreased to 1. So I'm just modifying a little bit for this for loop. I'm just modifying a little bit for this for loop. So previously whatever the for loop I'm written, the same for loop I'm written here. I'm initializing with 1, and it should be continued with up to 4. I'm just modifying. Anyhow, I know one error will be there. Continues. Once it is completed, it goes out. And again, it should be decremented. So once I run the code. So observe here. So my wish is the 4 number of asterisks should be only 1. But right now I am having 2 times. That means I started with 1 up to 4. I'm getting up ended there, and again starting with the second for loop, it started with 4, so 4, and it will be decremented up to 1. Only one modification I'm going to do. I'm just reducing the, instead of less than or equal to, I just go for the less than value. So this is my wish. So the way how I want to print my stars, I will be able to print it the stars. Okay. So in this video, I just mentioned how to write a code, to represent patterns of right angle triangle. That means either incremented or decremented, and the combination of these two. Instead of mentioning the asterisks, that means stars, you can write the numericals also, and your names, whatever may be the thing, you can represent in your printf statement. So in our next class, we are going to see the way of representing the numericals. That means in the first line, it should be 1, and second line, it should be 1 and 2, and third line, it should be incremented by 2 and 3. Likewise, or another format will be, in the first line, it should be 1, And second line, it should be 2 and 3. And third line, it should be 4, 5, and 6. These are also the patterns. Here, in the first case, I'm just showing the same one, it just incremented by 1 in the same line. But in the second case, whatever the previous value, that value is incremented by 1. Okay, so both are different cases. So I hope if you are really interested in programming, try to solve these ones. Definitely you can get the answers. Otherwise, kindly check my next video. There you can get your answers. Thank you.